So as I was saying, Hunley, about 10 minutes ago, wait a minute, are we live?
Apparently, I don't know what's going on.
We've been talking, this show's been going on for 20 minutes.
I know, it's not even 5:30, Mark. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know. Let's get this done for Leslie.
Yeah, that's right, everybody. It is my wife's birthday today. And it is a big one, and we're not doing the Viva Fry. It's just a wonderful birthday, like every other birthday she's had.
I think Viva just told me this morning he got a 2-year extension on his visa. So Viva gets visa, Las Vegas, as an episode, how Viva gets visa.
Oh, I love it. I'm glad to hear he's getting that. I'm hoping he goes for citizenship.
Tell him what he's won, Bob. You've won an all-expense paid trip to Boca Raton.
Yeah, and another shitty world leader who's almost probably as bad or worse than his previous. So go figure. All right, folks. This is a unique episode. Wanted to give this a try. We've done 6 JFK AMA or Q&As. I think there was another JFK one that we did on the side, but we wanted to open it up for questions about anything. It could be Henry Ford. It could be McKinley. It could be
what?
JFK.
You didn't tell me that. What the hell is going on? It's a pop quiz on me.
That's right. Hey, at least
my God.
I said, ask us anything. They won't. Right. It'll still be you. Right. So
no, you gotta answer these questions first.
Yeah. Okay. I'll answer some of them now. Everybody, just to let you know, the super chats, everything are super important to us, but we may not be able to get to them all.
What?
If you know that it could be skipped or something can happen, and it's going to bother you deeply, please don't.
It's already bothering them.
Okay. Well, I understand that.
Oh, get them in now. Maybe they have now, Hundley. They have some super chats right now. Get them out of the gate.
Well, we have 3 super chats, and I can just flash them on the screen. There you go. Peace out. Thank you. Peace out. Thank you. Peace out. Thank you.
Way to go, Pete. And
those are the easiest ones. Right. Some of them I may flash up if they're like Pete Zaw here, because it's an acknowledgement. I appreciate it. But just wanted to put that out there. Folks, also, please address things as question or Q, so I'll be able to more easily get it out. I have a tip here from local, so to start us off, JD Tippett. He's doing well for being passed away since January.
The episode or the man?
The man, I guess. JD Tippett is a local subscriber. Is it possible that the Tippett killing had nothing to do with the JFK killing?
I mean, it's possible. It's highly unlikely. I mean, I guess stuff can happen simultaneously. There's, a number of witnesses, the proximity to the Texas theater, the timing to the assassination in terms of clock time. It's highly doubtful. Let's put it that way. Are we ever going to solve the Tippett murder? Probably not. But it seems like an impossibility at this point that Oswald was the murderer of J.D. Tippett, based on numerous witnesses and ballistics and phony wallets and the Dallas PD descending on the crime scene and, setting it up like they did up in the school book depository. So highly suspect.
All right. I'm not your buddy guy. Question for you guys. Love the info you provided, but I was wondering what your method was to vet information and determine if it's BS or true. And that's a good question.
For me personally, yeah, it's usually multiple memoirs, cross-referencing multiple memoirs of various people where they intersect. That's usually one of my methods. If I'll read a memoir of Bill Moyers and I'll read a memoir of Dick Goodwin, the speechwriter for JFK/LBJ, and events overlap in their memoirs, I usually use that as a lightning rod of truth, if that helps.
Okay, this is my favorite question so far. David Murphy, do you answer questions from folks with no money? No. Oh, wait. Shoot.
What's the question? Don't let that guy back on for no money, whatever you do. Is there any, what is that?
Is there any information about the other knoll on the south side of Elm Street in regards to a shooter, a team, etc.?
Well, I mean, Hunley and I went up to the overpass on that side over there. There's a pergola that's, on the other side, but I believe that the shooter that shot him in the throat was up in that left-hand corner of the trestle, the overpass. And it's hard to see. Unless you're up there, it's hard to explain to people. They refer to the fact that there were people in the middle of the trestle who were railroad workers, but there's a bend in it. And Eric and I were up there, and I said to Eric, look, you can't really see the middle of the trestle from that far left overpass there. That, of course, as I described in that episode, is the parking lot for the federal building that had all kinds of agencies in that building watching from the window, and very easy for a man to come out of that building. Been described to me by postal officials who worked there in Dallas that it was a warren. It's a nest of hallways and offices and all kinds of configurations of nests and different entrances and exits from that federal building over there. In fact, when I was there, I saw camouflage military going in and out of it, and that was last year. I mean, which kind of spooked me, but the proximity of that corner shot, which I believe is the throat shot, and the bushes and whatever is over there, and the proximity to that parking lot in the federal building is ominous.
Awesome. And I've got a question from locals about Chauncey Holt, real or charlatan?
Charlatan.
All right. Any thoughts on the White House chefs?
Yeah, I mean, the great chefs are drowning. I mean, the Clinton chef drowned, the Bush chef drowned, this guy drowned. I mean, I don't know what happened to the chef on South Park. Hi, Pamela. The various chefs are drowning. Look, Anthony Bourdain had dinner with Obama in Vietnam, and he was dead within a year. I mean, that was so dark. Anthony Bourdain, clearly some sort of a spook chef. The spook chef thing is a common cover, being a chef or working with wealthy people as the chef.
Well, and I mean, yeah, and then of course Clinton's chef also, went the same way, drowning. Yeah, a chef drowning is a really somebody. It's a position where you can be privy to a whole lot of information, especially indirectly, because you're on the other side of a wall, and you may hear it, you may not hear it. It's not like the staff where you see them coming in and out of the room. You never know what this person is hearing, and then your guard is down.
Also, people discuss shit over dinner.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's whether it's not just your family having dinner. You may have various intelligence officials come for dinner, and it's the same chef. Whoever comes for dinner is being served by that chef, and if that chef is at all suspect of anything, I think his life is on the line. I mean, who knows what happened with Anthony Bourdain? I know Bourdain. I know he had a drug and alcohol problem and blah, 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 but who knows? 1 minute you're having dinner with Obama in Vietnam, next thing you're hanging from a noose.
Hate it when that happens. Happens. Locals tip, what do you think about the go up one. Otto M, what's the renovation of Dealey Plaza look like exactly? Is the TSBD getting torn down or what?
I have no idea. I've not seen any plans. I have not seen any sketches. I don't know. I know it's coming from, according to Robert Groden and some other people, it's coming from a spooky New York architect who, with a lot of money, who has been hawking about this, moved to Dallas a couple of years ago, if I recall correctly. And he's the leading figure in this movement to redesign Dealey Plaza. So sketchy guy leading the train on this particular urban renewal.
I've seen some images, and it looks more like all the things you don't want, like raising the street up a little bit, tearing things out for this like wider perspective, where coincidentally there would not be a rifle position because it would be blown out, and the overpass is like wider, some freedom looking thing. But
it's shocking. It's shocking that it's lasted this long.
True.
To be honest, it's shocking that it's been untouched for so long, and they're not happy about it. And like anything else, they may be late to the party, but when the party ends, they're going to turn out the lights. So, they probably figure, look, we've been damaged enough by 10 million videos and tours and everything else. At least let's put an end to it.
Right. And then after they do it and everybody points out what they're doing, they'll say, well, what are you talking about? It sat there for 60 years. It's not like we tried to cover it up. You have plenty of time to figure it out. Blah, 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 blah. Patsy asks F on locals. What do you think about the director of the CIA being promoted to a cabinet position? Oh, wow. That was wonderful.
Well, I mean, it's been since 2005 since the Central Intelligence Agency has had a cabinet position. So it's not the first time it's happened. But it does knock down DNI, which is interesting that the rumors are that there's internal strife within these intelligence agencies, basically over Ukraine. And this may be indicative of the strength of CIA versus DNI. Clearly, it means something when you haven't had a CIA cabinet position since 2005.
Okay. Question. Is there anyone or how many people are still alive that know definitely what happened with the JFK assassination?
Well, who knows? I mean,
maybe a former anchor's father.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think anybody knew the full story when it happened, when they were all alive, let alone now. I mean, it was compartmentalized and, a need-to-know basis. So, again, why would anyone know the full story now when nobody knew the full story then? You know what I mean, Eric? I mean, it doesn't make any sense that somebody. I mean, I'm sure people surmise and this and that and everything else, but nobody was privy to the entire operation when it happened. I mean, and rightfully so, from a military intelligence point of view. Why would they tell everyone everything? That would be crazy.
Yeah, plausible deniability too.
Right.
All over the place, and you really don't want to know extra things. I was in the military. You know the best way to handle a top secret clearance or secret clearance? I didn't have top, I had just secret. Be decidedly non-curious. If you see there's a door open, don't look in it.
Don't open that door.
Right. I'm being very serious. There were places on installations I was at that if you happen to go walk and knock on the door, someone might answer it with a rifle.
Oh, yeah.
They do not want you to see it. So just stay in your lane and do your thing. And that is the easiest way to survive. And I could see it in an operation like this, too. You have this job. It doesn't matter what they're doing.
Take, for example, this Reuben Efron revelation from the recent dump, by the Biden administration. Efron was CIA operative. He was assigned to opening up Oswald's mail, right? Okay, so he was also assigned to show up at the Warren Commission because they only have X amount of agents who are privy to the operation. So you had this guy Efron doing double duty. Jefferson Morley's been all over this, but the reality of it is Efron opened up Oswald's mail. Well, I presume somebody's opening up Oswald's mail. He was a defector to the Soviet Union, for Christ's sakes. And J. Edgar Hoover said we're opening up his mail. So not only was the FBI opening his mail, the CIA was opening up his mail. There wasn't that much mail. I mean, the letters that he's writing to the Soviet embassy is 2 or 3 or a handful of letters. It's not like he's publishing letters to people all around the world. There's not much letters to open up, incoming and outgoing. So, I mean, it's an easy job. Somebody had to do it. This guy Efron did it. It's not so much that who did it; it's why they did it, as Morley pointed out. By the way, if you want to follow any of this stuff, you can go to Mary Farrell Foundation. It's probably the leading vestibule of documentation other than the National Archives, but who knows if the National Archives is up to date. But anyway, so Reuben Efron, who died over 30 years ago, is not really the point. The point of the matter is that they were doing this before the assassination, Eric. The fact that the CIA was doing this, now they could simply say, we were doing this because it's a defector. And that would make some intelligent sense. So again, far too much is being made. People have asked me all week about Reuben Efron. They could simply say we're opening up the mail of a defector, which is absolutely true. And keep in mind, Marina was sending all kinds of stuff back to the Soviet Union. In fact, he catches her at one point and gets into a vicious fight with her. She was sending back issues of Scientific American, of Science Magazine, all the tech magazines that we take for granted that are in a dentist office do not exist in Moscow. You know, it's about human intelligence. And Marina's job was to send stuff back to Moscow. She wrote a lot of letters. I'm sure those were opened up too. She was being trailed by Hosty from the FBI in Dallas, and the CIA gets involved because of the international ramifications of it. But there's also FBI counterintelligence and counterespionage people involved. It overlaps. It overlaps. Now, the thing that doesn't overlap, which I keep hammering, but people think I'm a nut, is the Office of Naval Intelligence, which goes back to the 1880s. When they were called to show up for the House Assassination Committee hearings, they showed up, told them under oath, we destroyed all of our notes, go F yourself. That's balls. That's balls. The CIA cooperated roughly, and so did the FBI. O&I, of which Oswald was an O&I member, said we destroyed every freaking thing, sue us. You know what I mean? That's what they said testifying. I suggest it's more of an O&I operation. The CIA is paralleling it, as is the FBI. But this unending focus on the CIA, really, it's a shorthand, I know, for intelligence organizations, but there are other organizations, O&I being the oldest intelligence organization in the United States history, going back to the 1880s.
Well, Secret Service is older than CIA, and that's also Intel. So, yeah. D.S. Hogan, Black Eagle Trust ever researched this post-World War II funding, intel, and agendas? Interesting connections to JFK period players, Lansdale, de Mohrenschildt, etc.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Ever researched this post-World War II funding?
Black Eagle Trust. Did you?
Oh, I don't know what that is. I've never even heard of that.
Oh, okay. Well, that answers that.
I thought that was the guy's logo. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
No. Have you ever met Ruth Payne or Marina Oswald Porter?
I have not, but apparently Max Good may have met Ruth Payne and had the phone call. Well, no, twice, but he also had the phone call with Marina Oswald, who told him to stop doing this. You're going to ruin your life.
Fascinating. Yeah, she was very nice, according to him. She was
very sweet, and she said, do not go down this rabbit hole. It's going to take away from your life. She very nicely told him to quit, for his own career.
Oh, yeah. Mark, can you tell your UFO sighting story again? You got to watch the episode for that.
You got to watch, dude. I'm not going to do the stories again. This is a Q&A, bro. I mean, go watch the episode on the UFO. Somebody else was asking me about my mother's brooch that I made for her on Mother's Day when I think we're in third grade. I don't know what episode that's in, but it is a fascinating story of the brooch being so heavy it ripped my mother's dress, exposing her breast in the classroom. So.
Okay, sounds like a poem. All right. Hey, Hunley, great job on Moats this weekend. Represent. Well, thank you.
The Moats, right on.
Yeah, the mother of all talk shows with George Galloway. Apparently.
Oh. Yeah, what's with that cat? What's the deal with that guy?
I don't know.
I've never it seems a little bombastic for my taste, but again, I've got a beef with the Brits anyway over this Oppenheimer movie, so we'll see what happens.
It goes into this one that I saw down here later. I don't have thoughts about it because I never heard of him really until somebody said, hey, I could put you on with him to talk about my situation with the Baldwin case and the prosecutor to help get the word out. He'd be interested in it. I'm like, okay, cool, big show, whatever. Looked him up. Apparently, he was a member of the House of Commons for many years. Very controversial. He was a member of Parliament. He got thrown out.
Rand Paul or something? Is he there, Rand Paul?
He's a pretty hardcore lefty. Not a fan of Israel, unfortunately. He's like on that Glenn Greenwald track.
Sounds sad. It sounds sad. The British not a fan of Israel. I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah, I know.
No friend of the Jews in England. Wow.
Yeah, he's Scottish apparently, but
that's probably even worse.
He's an interesting guy. I didn't really talk to him. I literally went on. I got introduced by him, and we did the segment, and then I was off. I don't even know if I exchanged with him on DMs on Twitter or a producer. It was like, hi, let me put you with the producer. That might have been the only interaction. So I appreciate the opportunity, and that's always cool. Michael DePaul, we kind of answered this earlier, but thank you very much. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
UPenn, Connecticut. Why can't I find SNL season 10, episode 2 with guest and Crystal as, a Negro League baseball player?
Has that been removed? I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised. But
wow,
it's not always. You know what's funny about that is, you could probably speak to this from heavy metal times. It's not always a political thing. Sometimes it's something crazy, like a band won't release the song, or there's a dispute with the music that was played on the episode, and it could have.
Well, I can tell you this with heavy metal. We once had an issue. Heavy Metal is a science fiction magazine. It was a sister publication at National Lampoon when I was editor there. I was also associate publisher of Heavy Metal. Later became a movie. Blah blah blah. But I remember one time we were shipping magazines into Canada for subscribers. And the Border Patrol of Canada, Viva's relatives, stopped the magazine from going in because it had cartoon, futuristic science fiction bestiality. And they rejected 18,000 issues that were going to Canada, Toronto, whatever. I forget the number. No, you know what? I think it was even smaller. I think it was like 3,000 issues. Okay. So Georgia Golia, who was the publisher, found can I say retarded school in New Jersey? That's what it was. It was a
learning disabled school.
But it wasn't then. It wasn't called.
I know it was. Yeah, there was the term, but yeah.
No, but that was the name of the school. What do you want from me? It wasn't called the Learning Disabled School of New Jersey. Anyway, make a long story short, we hired them and made a donation to the school and gave them each a black magic marker to black out the boxes with the bestiality, and then we sent the magazines into Canada with black magic marker blackouts by mentally disabled children of New Jersey who did the work for us for a donation. Just I don't know why I thought of this, but just a weird oddity.
Yeah, that is crazy. I see. This almost goes with it. Question: in your research, what was the most shocking thing you discovered / learned that was so wild you almost didn't believe it, despite evidence it is true?
In my research, I mean, I've done so much research. You're talking about in anything. Any field, in anything?
Yeah, anything. I mean, we're talking about anything. So,
what the fuck? Any shocking research? Despite evidence it is true, discovered, learned what was so wild, you almost did not believe it. Well, I don't know. I mean, encountering that UFO was kind of shocking. It wasn't part of my research, but we did research it by going down into the ravine to the UFO. But then the Men in Black showed up. And then I'll tell you, what's his name? John Keel. Years later, John Keel wrote the Mothman Prophecies. I'll tell you what's shocking. Encountered the UFO because on my mind because you mentioned the episode, but encountered the UFO with my girlfriend and another girl, and in Jewett, New York, upstate New York, and it's one of the episodes. But years later at Lampoon, John Keel, a famous ufologist who I did not know, who wrote the Mothman Prophecies, who was a friend of Ratzo's, was about to go to lunch, and I told him the story, what happened. And this had been I want to say 8 years in between. And he takes out a map and puts it on the table and shows the dots in Jewett where this event had happened. And he said to me, this happened in Jewett. And I went, yeah. And he said, Jewett has the most sightings of any place in the United States. And you were in the middle of it. That was shocking. That was shocking.
Yeah, that would get your attention.
That freaked me out. Yeah. And then he said the 3 men were the Men in Black who showed up to meet the craft. And I had not heard that terminology. This was 87, let's say. I didn't know about Men in Black yet.
Well, that's crazy. That is crazy. Okay. I just saw this come across, and I think I've told people before. I don't see it when somebody buys memberships and donates them to other people. I'm going to try to find who it was in the normal chats. I got to go to another window. But I want to alert everybody, thank you so much for buying memberships and donating it to others. I'll try to find who it is so I can thank you properly. But I just wanted to bring it up and say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let me see. Tommy Bridges, Mark, How do the bullet holes in the Stemmons freeway sign and add into the count of bullet shots? I know the sign was taken down right after.
I've always had the feeling that kids also shot at that sign, that it became a target like a lot of signs around the country, of just the famous sign that people took pot shots at. And I think that's why, this is just my guess, I think that's why they took the sign down, was because everyone was shooting at that sign. Local kids. It's just my opinion.
Okay, that makes sense. Does Eric own a tie? Yes, I own several. Am I wearing it for you? No, probably not. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Dictaphone.
Yes. LBJ
Dictaphone. It was called a jumbo phone, if you really want to know.
This is his smaller cousin. LBJ spoke into a dictaphone on the eve of 64 Democrat convention, saying he wasn't sure he wanted the nomination. How does that square with his overwhelming desire to be president?
Okay, so he was bipolar, right? And he kept feeling sorry for himself, and he'd have these depressive episodes. And every other day, he would just say, I'm not doing this. I can't do it. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing it. They don't love me enough. And he went on this pity party thing all the time. In general, he did this all the time, including the eve of the 64 convention. And his aides would go, come on, we love you. You got to do it for the good of the country. And then he'd go, all right, I'm back in. Let's go, boys. And he did this all the time. It was a fucking whack job. I mean, a lot of it was his bipolarism coming to the surface and alcoholism.
Right. There's also that whole poo-poo thing, like, oh, I'm reluctant. Everybody talked me into it. I'm
right.
Sure. I mean, come on. How many people were like, oh,
in fact, when the rumors spread that he was going to withdraw in 1968 in the White House, they said, he's just doing it again. But he didn't. He actually withdrew in 68 in March, and they were shocked. Nobody saw the speech. It was at the end of that speech that he gave.
Okay, Patsy SF on Locals. What is a good book about deep state media spewing out propaganda in the news and films? Well, CIA in Hollywood, which features Mark Grobert.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one by Tricia Jenkins. If you, was a professor of film and television, I think, at UT. She wrote a book called CIA in Hollywood, which has a chapter on me. And how I ended up in federal court against the CIA and won a settlement, not from the CIA, but the settlement was from the film company that the CIA was using as a shell company to rewrite my script, which became The Recruit with Colin Farrell and Al Pacino.
Yep. Another tip on Locals. This one is, do you think the Zapruder film was tampered with on Saturday and Sunday by CIA after Life purchased it?
No, I don't. I don't think any reputable person from Grodin to Jim DiEugenio to Vince Palomara agrees that it was tampered with. And I'm going to stick with him.
All right, Animal Room. The headshot. I can see a shot from the front or exit wound propulsion, but the damage so clearly looks to be on the right side above the ear. Help make sense of this, please. Posner misguided.
I don't know what the problem is here. What's the question here? I could see a shot from the front or exit wound propulsion.
Yeah,
can you interpret this?
I think he's trying to say it doesn't make sense, the exit wound from wherever it is, but I'm not. The
exit wound blew out the back of his head, and 28 doctors at Parkland said the back of his head was blown out.
Or maybe he's saying that he disagrees with that, because if you look at the right side, it from the nose, like here back.
Yeah, I mean, there is a small hole on the right side, and it blows out the entire back of his head,
which is
entrance
normal.
wound. Right, which is normal. He goes back into the left. That's normal. The entrance wound's in the throat. He grabs his throat from the pain of the entrance wound in his throat. There's no exit wound for that bullet. There's no exit in the back of the neck. And then the shot in the upper right shoulder only goes in an inch or two. So I'm a little confused as to what I'm looking at here. Help me make sense of this. Again, Posner is a Holocaust denial person in regards to JFK.
Yeah, he's really one of the worst. He and Bigliosi probably did the most damage. Outstanding program, gentlemen. Thank you, Mark. You mentioned you lived in Massapequa. Did you know of Roy Demio, the Gambino Capo, or his family?
Okay, so interestingly enough, I did not, but we would take motorboats to go to the peninsula where Gambino lived, and they would be out on the little peninsula, mob guys with automatic weapons shooing us away, and we would play this game of chicken with them on Gilgo Beach, right by Gilgo, where they just arrested this serial killer who apparently was a friend of the Baldwins, or went to school with the Baldwins. I don't know if he was training them to be serial killers of the future, but I remember specifically taking Boston whalers with friends and going around to that part of the island or peninsula that the Gambino family ran or lived in.
That's right.
I did not know that guy, but I just remember all the guys with guns coming out with suits, and we would turn the boat around and go back.
All right, Herman, where does Shelby Foote's Civil War rank in your books on the subject? What's the best?
I mean, there's so many of them. I don't know where he ranks. I mean, it's hard to know what's right or wrong about Shelby Foote or any of these guys. I mean,
he's well regarded. It's one of the ones out there. I know that.
Yeah. I don't have any opinion, bad or good, about Shelby Foote. You know,
and I think
Barry Foote, who was a catcher for the Cincinnati Reds, there used to be a thing where you had to assemble an entire body based on baseball players, and you had to have the knowledge that you had Bill Hands and you had Raleigh Fingers, you had Elroy Face, Leroy Head, and the missing one was Barry Foote, the catcher. You had to be able, in my neighborhood, to assemble. I'm not kidding. Baseball people know what I'm talking about. You had to be able to assemble an entire body based on the names of body parts of baseball players. I think I got them all, but I'm getting old, so I may have left some out.
the important things. Yeah, it sounds like kids. I got a Rumble rant in. Here we go. Triumph 951,000. Question: the pistol Ruby shot Oswald with got sold at auction, and I believe the person who bought it jumped the White House fence with it.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's quite the story. If so, wow. Otto sent a tip and said, any predictions regarding Hollywood studios going forward? They have no writers, no actors, have run out of ideas, and are running out of cash.
Whoa. Let me just back up for a second. Is that a question or a blanket statement? There's massive film companies like A24 that have already inked deals with SAG and with AFTRA. Mel Gibson has inked a deal with his company. There's certain Christian film companies that have inked deals. A24 is the size of like Miramax. It's a big independent. So there are films being made, and I don't know when the studio system is going to buckle in terms of their negotiations with SAG, but they've already splintered their own power by allowing these A24 type companies to agree in principle to sign a contract with the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild so they could move forward with their productions. Now, I don't know how this is not going to create animosity among actors. And in fact, I was told yesterday by a director that there's infighting in social media already because people are going to work on these A24 projects and other people are losing their homes. You want to be blunt about it. They have no strike funds, these guilds. They're not unions, they're guilds. There's no strike fund. And a lot of these people live paycheck to paycheck. Now, they're large paychecks to paychecks, but if they don't make their mortgage payments, they're going to lose their homes, which is what happened in the last strike. So, look, I don't know who to root for or not root for in this particular case, but there's a lot of rank and file people who are going to be hurt by this. And the studio people are not going to be hurt by it. Let me put it that way. It's always
the rank and file people that get hurt. I mean, they're the pawns, they're the soldiers, they're the ones who take the bullet, so to speak. That's kind of I missed a couple tips that came in on locals. Guilty as Jumbo wants to know, Mark, top 2 favorite street games played when you were a kid. We had an episode on that, by the way.
Top 2. I mean, I'm just thinking about 20 games, but the top 2. Slap ball, and then stoop. Slap ball was a game set up like baseball with only 2 bases with a pitcher, and you had to slap the rubber ball, and it took a lot of skill to place it in a short little field. That was complicated. And then I want to say stoop was played so often that that became a thing. Stoop was probably second, and then third. And there was a lot of box ball. 7 boxes, 3 boxes, stuff like that in the boxes. So I'd say those 3.
All right, and then
I'm just saying by what we played that often. I mean, there was Scully. I didn't play Scully that much. There was stickball. We didn't play that much stickball. We had so many other games to play, and we were in Little League baseball, so the baseball thing was kind of taken care of. Stickball, we did play. I want to take it back. I mean, stickball is probably 3rd or 4th on the list. Just regular stickball, but there were other games like Ring Alivio, Johnny on the Pony.
No, we did a whole episode on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go check out the episode. It's America's Street Games in the catalog.
Sorry.
So, no, definitely check it out. I mean, it's fun. Got a rant here. Ginny D 2003 for the CIA in Hollywood book. Does it matter if you buy the original publication or the revised and updated version?
I would get the revised and updated.
Okay.
I think there's some different things in there.
Yeah, might even be more evidence or things.
Yeah, there is. I think she did one a year or 2 later.
Okay, Gary W. sent in a very nice tip. Thank you, Mark. I watched the General Walker episodes, and I appreciate your fair and accurate description of the John Birch Society.
Well, I try to be balanced. I mean, we're going to have a similar episode on General Curtis LeMay coming up. I was just thinking about the Walker episode this morning because I'm knee deep in LeMay stuff, and it's similar story. It's a very similar story of a war hero, and then some things happen at the end of his career, which is what happens with Walker. Massive war hero, and then things happen at the end of his career. LeMay has a similar situation. Not that it's exactly or close to what Walker went through, but it's interesting that the span of LeMay's career, how vast it is. I had no idea. So hopefully Tuesday we'll get into LeMay.
To me, Walker felt like Smedley Butler who went off the deep end.
Right. Well, you can make that analogy about LeMay as bombs away LeMay, Dr. Strangelove is, we're going to get our hair mussed, lose a couple million people, Mr. President. I mean, he becomes a national joke, but there's no bigger hero in World War II than Curtis LeMay, folks. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, I don't want to get into it because we're going to get into it next Tuesday, but the Japanese, when they surrendered in August of 1945, said the bombing of Tokyo by LeMay, not the atomic bomb, is what made them stop and end the surrender of the war. It was the fire bombing of Tokyo that drove the Japanese to surrender, not the atomic bomb, according to the Japanese.
All right. Let me see. TB, several researchers / investigators have speculated about the true identity of James Earl Ray's alleged handler, Raoul. His name is supposedly Jules Rico Kimball, per Jim Garrison.
I never believed any of that bullshit. I think it was Ray just fucking with people, and I think Ray did it. I think he got paid. I think he had multiple passports. I think he had an escape plan. He had a lot of help. It was a conspiracy of businessmen in the South, who hired him to do it, and he did it and escaped to London. He was supposed to go to South Africa. I mean, for the love of God, people, how much more evidence of a conspiracy can you get? When it's so funny, some people, like I said to Eric when we first started this channel, if everything is a conspiracy, nothing is a conspiracy. Here's a guy who, in my opinion, did it and had help and was hired and money and multiple passports and all this escape stuff. And people go, nah, he's not the guy. It's Raoul. Come on. It's embarrassing to the research community that I respect. I know there's people who believe, and I know that the King family had a civil trial with Judge Brown or something in Memphis, and they had a jury that was favorable and blah, blah, blah. I think in the episode that we did, I think you'll see that I make the case for James Earl Ray being the man.
And just to tag
not that they caught everyone who was working to hire him and pay him. No, those people, they took the one guy and found him guilty of it. But I believe that he was hired by a cabal of businessmen who wanted to kill King, and the FBI knew about it and they let it happen, and blah blah blah. I don't think that's a lone nut assassin type theory.
Yeah, not to tag off of it a little bit. There's something called the Barkley Marathons, and it is based off of when James Earl Ray escaped from prison. It took them, the distance he traveled and everything else is part of a race course now that they almost never finish. The top athletes in the world try to do this course and they usually fail. So he is no slouch in many, many ways. Obviously, his passports, everything else.
I mean,
trained, dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of smoke and a lot of fire there. Somebody did it, and then once in a while they get the right guy.
Machiavelli sucks to go. I wouldn't mind seeing RFK Jr. win so we could get back at the CIA.
Well, win what? Win what exactly? Win. It's just, again, one of these simplistic terms. Win what? The Democratic nomination in a primary battle of multiple primaries against an incumbent starting in New Hampshire when he's not on the ballot. I mean, what is the path to win? I don't understand what win means. He defeats an incumbent president in his own party. It's, again, people are not very pragmatic, and I'd love to see this fantasy Game of Thrones where he wins. Yeah, but again, ask yourself what the path to victory is. Or are we wasting valuable airtime and money time on a candidate that doesn't have a chance in hell of winning? I'm sorry, I have to keep bringing this up because apparently it's difficult for people to wrap their minds around this. It's a two-party system with two candidates, and he's not one of them. So anything you're doing is going to take away from one of the two candidates. This is not a third-party candidate. This is a guy running for the nomination. He's not going to be Trump's VP. He's not switching parties. He's not going to get on the ballot. He's not going to be in a debate stage with Biden. What is the path to victory for this man?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, again, I agree with what you're saying. We'd love to see that. But again, it's not a three-party system. There are rules and regulations. And I made this analogy last week. It's as if Trump did not switch parties and he ran for the Democratic nomination as a Democrat. I mean, that's what this guy's doing. He'd have better chance switching parties like Trump did. But he's got this beloved theme of the Democrats, of his uncles and his father, that those guys would be censored as fast as they censored him if they were alive today.
And geez, look at this. $199 from Ronald Pinta.
Who is okay? Is that Ronald Pinta?
That's Gumbasto.
Okay. Gumbasto, the greatest supporter in the history of American Untold Stories,
I think
lives on an island.
Memberships.
Is this the guy buying the membership?
Yeah, I think so. He has bought memberships before. He's donating like crazy. I've seen him on Rumble donating, and there's not even a question. Dude, you're a rock star. Thank you.
You know what? He gets 5 free questions and a player to be named later. He gets Roy Smalley, the former shortstop of the Twins, who ended up on the Yankees.
Yeah, that's incredible. Big Saxaholics DCS Adventures. What's your take on John Liggett and his involvement with the reconstructive procedures on JFK's body on Air Force 2/Bethesda? Multiple stories, confusing, of course.
I think Liggett came to Parkland and he patched a hole right here. And he patched the other holes so the body doesn't leak, quote unquote, during transportation. I think Liggett was the local mortuary guy. And everything else is an exaggeration of Liggett's role. I think Liggett came to Parkland and he did his job. He was a cosmetic mortuary guy, and they brought him in probably because of proximity, and his job was done. He's done it before, and that is to plug holes, which he did at the temple and whatever else holes there were, the throat, the back, in the back of the head, so it doesn't bleed out in transportation.
Okay, somebody on Locals in our chat sent a link to the Dealey Plaza plans, and I'm dropping it into the chat here on YouTube. And I will try to drop it into Rumble as well for anybody who wants to go look at the upcoming Dealey Plaza plans and what they're planning.
Find out the name of the guy who designed those plans, because that is the rabbit hole you want to go down. Not the plans, the guy who made the plans.
Okay.
I forget his name, but I will look it up after the show.
All right. Anyway, I sent the link out. Everybody check that out. Doug, how can I contact Mark about writing a script?
About you writing a script? Or me writing a script? Because it's got to be you, bro, at this point. Unless there's a lot of money, I'm not really interested. But about you writing a script, I'm even less interested. But I would say stay away from it. The business is about finished, is my answer. But if you're paying me and you have somebody who wants to make a film, the business is thriving. And of course,
and if it's a lot of money,
the strike will be over. Yeah, if it's for A24, we can go into production next month. So
exactly.
I was reading about Christopher Nolan, and like we mentioned last week about this book, Prometheus, that he read and then started writing a script for. And I said I don't trust the Brits doing our history. So this week, number of people reported that there's a scene in the Oppenheimer film with Cillian Murphy, who's playing Oppenheimer. They're all saluting multiple American flags, and all of the American flags have 50 stars. And of course, they only had 48. Tip of the hat to the Brits for getting it wrong once again. Small thing, but not to me. Okay. I mean, this is why I keep saying I don't want the Brits doing our history. They had the wrong amount of stars at the wrong amount of time on a lot of flags in that movie. And we did not have Hawaii or Alaska as states yet, Eric, as you're well aware.
Nope, we didn't. Anybody talks about his attention to detail. Forgot one.
No, but I'm saying attention to detail when it's not your country. It's hard. I can't go over and to England and do a story on Churchill and get it all right because I'm from here. The same thing is true. You have to look at these British documentaries like A Rich Man's Trick and The Men Who Killed Kennedy and Oppenheimer. They get shit wrong, and they get it wrong whether it's intentional, accidental, on purpose. It doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is they get shit wrong. They're not Americans. They have great accents for documentaries, and they have great actors, but it's not us. Remember that, folks.
All right, Otto is a smartass in locals and said Barbie would have had the right number of stars.
Well, Barnes went off on Barbie the other day. Holy cow. Dude, I'm afraid to leave the house. And then Viva's daughter said she was like almost a hostage seeing that film. She was traumatized. She may have to go to therapy, Viva's daughter, about the BarbieCon that she was dragged into by her camp counselor.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know the relevance of this. It might have been an answer to a question earlier, but Lucy.
No, he's talking about a French assassin. I mean, like I've said before, I don't think we needed assassins from other nations. We had ample amount of guys in our own world. I don't think we had to go outside that our nation. I mean, if you think about Walker, like Eric was talking about General Walker, oddly enough, he had the championship European rifle team every year that he was a general in Berlin. I mean, nobody knew more marksmen than General Walker, for Christ's sakes, just as an example. I mean, every year he had, I think it was the 24th Armored Division that he operated out of Berlin. They won the trophy every year for marksmanship with a rifle team. Just a weird coincidence, but I don't think you need the French, is what I'm saying.
No. Let me see. Do you believe that Oswald was a patriot and an American hero?
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible. Yeah,
I do. I think he was, because if you take away the scuttlebutt of the assassination, forget about if you take that out of the equation. Here's a guy as part of a 13-man program that's going to be put at the early age of 21 behind enemy lines into Eastern European countries to gather human intelligence by James Angleton and ONI combining to do this drop of these disgruntled or defector American military people. he was in harm's way the entire time he was over there, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he had, he attempted suicide on purpose so he wouldn't have to be kicked out by the Soviets out of Moscow. He's sent to Minsk, where he takes photos with his Minox of military installations in Minsk, my friends. He gathers human intelligence from Minsk, writes it down. Him and his wife tape it to their stomachs and legs so they could get it smuggled out of the Soviet Union and into Rotterdam, where he is debriefed about the human intelligence, how the phone works, how the trains work. That's all we had back then was human intel. We didn't have spy satellites. We didn't have any other way to do this, and we needed to put guys on the ground. He learned Russian at the Monterey Language School up in Big Sur, California. I mean, any way you slice it, if you remove the assassination, set up Patsy, whatever you want to do, and just look at his career up until that point, this is an American hero.
All right. Levi Nolan, have you guys covered the Oswald trial with Spence and Bugliosi? I've enjoyed the assassination coverage. I've uploaded the series to locals. If anybody wants to,
we've talked about it. We've talked about it. I mean, it's an interesting little flotsam and jetsam of pop culture. And if you want to see, the most interesting part is that Ruth Payne testifies in that TV trial, which is the most interesting thing. And then Jerry Spence, of course, very flamboyant country attorney, and never lost. And Bugliosi, of course, who has been completely shredded career-wise by Tom O'Neill in his book Chaos. I can never look at Bugliosi the same after that book.
It's actually funny that it was Tom O'Neill who did it, even better than Jim DiEugenio.
Yeah.
Went after him for Parkland.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he took 20 years to investigate Bugliosi. I mean, and got away
personal.
with it. Yeah, it became personal to Tom O'Neill.
All right. Obama's chef's body looks to have had blunt force trauma to the face. Very sus.
Also, is that true?
I don't know. Also, his inability to swim seems to have been debunked too. Thoughts?
I don't know. I'm going to have to see the autopsy. I mean, who knows? I'm going to stick my neck out here and say he was on fentanyl.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Kevin Dorr, Galloway is very left, but he's not down with the woke, race, and trans gay issues being pushed by the left. Also is pro-Brexit. Yeah, he's, like I said,
I don't know what he is. That's what I'm saying. It's very confusing. If you, what is left of him then? If you remove all that stuff, what is he left of?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't watched an entire show of this guy, so I don't really
I'm always
know
a fan of the Duran, so I think he agrees with certain things there. He's very anti-war.
Well, the Duran is clearly conservative. I mean, Alex is clearly a conservative member of the political establishment in England. I don't know about Galloway. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, somebody, Otto in local said that Galloway is like England's Dennis Kucinich.
He's a short dwarf from Ohio.
Yes, who's very anti-war, and I think that's
who's managing. He's managing the campaign of Lafarge
versus Kennedy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Pasha, question for each of you: what are your top 3 non-JFK AUS topics yet to do, and how do I ensure I stay off the list?
What are we going to do? What's on our list of things to do?
I'm looking forward to the Rosenbergs.
Oh yeah, well, we're going to do a brother of the Rosenbergs, the brother-in-law of Julius Rosenberg specifically. And who else is on the list? We're going to do Lenny Bruce. We're going to do Bob Dylan. Those are 2 favorites of mine that we're going to do. And there's a lot of comics I'm going to do. I'm going to do Kinison. If you like the Freddie Prinze episode, I think you'll like the Sam Kinison episode. So those are non-JFK things, I think.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw one in there. I don't know if it's something we want to do or not, but the War of 1812 keeps
the entire war, the whole war,
or elements of it, because it's just I feel like that's something so damn overlooked. It was so majorly important. How many times did Washington actually get advanced upon? And
well, I do want to do the Battle of Brooklyn with George Washington. So that's as close as I can come off the top of my head right now. Because Washington, it's a turning point in the war, and there's a lot of fake outs and deeks and stuff going on in that Battle of Brooklyn. and he does some things I'll get into later when we do the episode. So I don't know about 1812, but I do want to do Washington with the Battle of Brooklyn.
Okay. Theory: Stuttering Tom is the real Gilgo Beach killer.
Okay. Stuttering John. I think they got the guy. I mean,
it looks good, but then supposedly they had Koberger for the Idaho 4 or 5 or whatever, and now it's like, oh, there's no actual DNA tying him to it. Oh, the signals might be messed up. Oh, and the evidence seems to be falling apart. So I don't know.
And this Gilgo Beach thing, or
no, the Idaho guy.
The
one that they had in Idaho. So you know what? I'll just.
I never found serial killers. I've never found serial killers that interesting. I'm much more interested in mass murderers.
Well, that's what Koberger was. Was a mass murderer.
Again,
he
the
was
mass
like
murder.
Amityville West.
The mass murderer is a guy who does it in one day and racks up sheer volume of murder in one day. That's a difference. You keep saying yes. I'm just saying.
Well, no, he killed 5 people in the house on the same evening.
Right. I'm talking about James Huberty in McDonald's in San Diego. I think he killed 26 in one day. I mean, these guys you're talking about not on the list in the Hall of Fame. I mean, these are minor. No. Look at the trading cards, Hunley. Look at my mass murderer trading cards.
Okay. Well, I mean,
you're going to see huge numbers of mass murderers who look at Whitman. Look how many Whitman killed from the Texas Tower. That is an American phenomenon. There's been just to go over this again. There's been serial killers ad infinitum in every culture, going back to Jack the Ripper. My contestation is that mass murder, the single day killer, is an American phenomenon, and I stick with that. There's a couple of deviations since I did the cards from the 80s, but for the most part, mass murderer is an American thing. Serial killers are worldwide.
Well, it's catching up. I mean,
Anders
Breivik is the greatest, or has killed the biggest.
Everyone says Breivik, but I'm saying that's a one-off. Everybody mentions Breivik. It's a one-off.
Well, and then you have some of the that's the problem with the terrorism versus that, but it can get really fine lines on this. But anyway, back to this. Per Zapruder, I'm guessing the film. The damage clearly looks to be on the right side of JFK's head and not the back. I disagree. It looks like the back to me, but okay. Seriously confused, and Posner sucks. Well, we agree. Posner sucks.
Again, I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, this has been examined pretty closely for 50 years. There's a bullet hole right here from the grassy knoll, and the back of his head gets blown out.
And when you watch the film, it appears.
I mean, look at Hargis. Look at Hargis and everyone who was on the left side of the limo, motorcycle guys getting sprayed with blood and brain matter. So I mean, it is what it is.
Okay. What do we think about Ron Perlman's TikTok threat to Hollywood studios?
I must have missed this. I'm sorry. What is the threat? What is Ron Perlman doing?
I don't know. He's a very calm individual, and he releases a lot of things. He's kind of I'm saying that he's Alec Baldwin's spirit animal. I haven't seen his TikTok, but he does tend to be a bit bombastic.
Okay.
I don't know what he did though lately. Thanks for recommending Plandemic. Great doc. What happened to the gun they pretend Oswald shot Tippit with?
What happened to the gun they pretend Oswald shot? I don't know what happened to that gun. I mean, that was an automatic, apparently. Not the revolver that he had that did not have a broken firing pin, according to the FBI. So, I mean, he had a gun on him, but that's not the gun that they had at the scene. I mean, they have shells, and somebody must have taken that particular gun away. I've, never heard what happened to that, other than Tippit had multiple bullets in him from different weapons. Let me put it that way.
All right, from locals, do you know if LBJ and General Walker had an agreement? And the question is whether he could have sent Wallace to shoot at Walker.
Again, I don't think LBJ was as hands-on as you movie people think he was. I think he was hands-on in the cover-up. I don't think he was hands-on in the physical getting on the phone and calling Walker and saying, "Get on this, Walker." I don't think it's that simplistic, bro. If that helps.
Let me see.
There were cutouts, and they were the men who worked under LBJ, who did the dirty work, and we will eventually cover all of the various LBJ underlings who we've covered some of them. There are others that we're going to cover who were his henchmen.
Right. Like, his main dude, right? His main staff guy. We're going to do an episode on him probably.
We're going to do them all. We're going to do all these guys. I mean, they're all going to get their day in the sun, but again, there's distance between LBJ and hiring people to kill. Of
course. He probably is doing the whole. Anyway, has the Douglas account of Operation Zipper documented in the book Regicide been debunked?
I don't know who Douglas is. I have the book Regicide. I don't think it's very accurate. It just seems to be a European book, if I remember.
I don't know. Could be.
Yeah, I don't remember that book, but I think I have it. Something that says Regicide in Dallas or something. I forget the name of the book, but I don't have an answer to that question.
Bighorn Shaver on locals. If Dealey Plaza is a National Historic Landmark District, how can they change it? How about restoring it to exactly how it was, including putting mannequins in place for key eyewitnesses like Zapruder, etc., and possible shooters?
That would be the way to go. Make it into an amusement park. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they've taken Ruth Paine's home in Irving and made it into a National Historic site, while now trying to bulldoze the actual National Historic site itself, which is Dealey Plaza. How ironic. Like when I went to Ruth Paine's house, there's that plaque. I couldn't believe it was real. I couldn't believe that it had a National Historic plaque on it. I was shocked. And the fact that Dealey Plaza does not have that, it's insane. It should be untouchable, ladies and gentlemen.
I agree. I mean, I understand the fact that it's a road and you have to allow the traffic to go in, but preserve the rest. Why not? No, it's a drive-through historic monument. Tony Clifton, why was JFK killed and who had the power to cover it up? Well, we have a series that we're doing that I think I highly encourage you to check out.
Well, there's multiple reasons why he was killed, but it's much more important. I read JFK and the Unspeakable by James Douglas. Would be a tip of one book to read.
All right. What the hell effed up RFK Jr.'s voice, for Christ's sakes? He has a condition. Scott Adams had it one time. I forgot what it's called, but it is actually a diagnosed condition where the voice is messed up. The cause of it is in controversy, and I'm not going to say on YouTube what people speculate it is.
Well, what he claims is
but we're not going to say it on YouTube because
he claims it is spasmodic. It's spasmodic. Whatchamacallit? What?
Yeah, spasmodic. That's it.
Yeah.
I forget it
was the name of a band, the Spasmodics.
What guy made the plans? Again, I put a link in the chat earlier.
What guy made the plans for Dealey Plaza? I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know it right offhand. I'd have to go dig it up, but I just dropped a link in there right now, Sparty Matt. So in the chat, grab that. Doug Archibald, you writing a script? Serious?
I don't know. Is that a joke?
I think this is the one who was saying, "What would it take for you to write a script?" Or can I write a script? I don't know.
I don't know what. Yeah, it's hard to tell with such short amount of words. You can use the extra words for $2.99. I think you get extra words.
Let me see. Are you aware that an English company called Serco grants all U.S. patents? Serco runs the infrastructure of the USA. Check them out. They're here. Jason Goodman asked Wilbert Ross why that is. No answer. I'll have to get back to you on that. I've never heard of this. I'm not sure.
I don't know who Jason Goodman is. I've never heard of Serco. I don't know anything about this.
Jason Goodman's another YouTuber.
Okay, I don't know anything about it.
He does something called crowdsourcing.
This is probably from Jason Goodman.
It could be. I don't know. I mean, he has.
I'm not checking out anything. I'm up to my ass in books and research. I really don't have a minute's time in the day when I'm not listening to an audiobook or reading one or watching a doc simultaneously for the 100 things that Hunley and I already have on our list of things to do. So the idea, I know it's well-intentioned of me going down your rabbit hole is just not going to happen. I have very little time left on this earth, and there's stories that I want to get out before I die. And Serco and Goodman and whatever the hell the patents are, it's just not on the list, bro. I'm sorry. Maybe you could do it yourself and then publish what you find.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room. This just came in. I agree. We need 8,000 people to subscribe right
Where
now.
Where are we on this thing? We need like 8,000 people?
Yeah. We're at 92,000 and change. So yes, please consider. We don't have the bell.
It's amazing that YouTube lets you say this word as opposed to kamikaze, you know?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Hopefully they missed it earlier. Let me see. Why has the music business left LA?
Where do you think it is? Where do you think it is, bro? In Tuscaloosa, Alabama? It's dead. It didn't leave LA.
It did in a way. It's like the spirit leaving the body.
There are no more albums. These corporate entities got top heavy and took salaries of $10 million or $2 million or $1 million or $5 million, and they bankrupted the industry. And that's the short answer to your question. They bankrupted the industry.
Oh my God. Has anyone looked into which financiers in the world had the most connections and stood to benefit the most from the assassination? Who was threatened by JFK issuing currency backed by silver? Which Federal Reserve clients? Probably. I mean, there's so much out there right now on that. There's a whole Indonesia angle with Dulles that Greg Polgrim is writing on.
I don't know. I never thought this was a factor.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's other factors that are pretty well documented. This never has ever been shown to me to be a factor in the assassination of JFK.
All right. Any American Indian Movement or AIM / Banks Untold Stories episodes in the offing?
Free Leonard Peltier. I mean, I believe that these Indians were corrupt. I believe that they were leftist Indians. I believe that they did some evil things, and I think a lot of it was infighting among the Indians. And now, I mean, there's so much money in these Indian reservations with the gambling casinos. It's astoundingly corrupt as to how much money the Indian elites are making out of the gambling casinos, while 98% of the Indians are on the balls of their ass living on these reservations. It's outrageous. It really is outrageous.
Yeah, true. Top to Christchurch murderer. Okay. Definitely not an American story.
Oh yeah, that's not ours.
You should do an episode on Interpin, Intercontinental Penetration Force involvement in JFK assassination. Jerry Hemming, Lauren Hall, Larry Howard. Jerry Hemming has come up in an episode and Frank Sturgis has come up. They seem to be related. They were all mercenaries. I mean, it doesn't mean that they killed the president. They were all mercenaries dealing with Cuba and gun running and stuff like that. It doesn't mean they killed JFK. All right. Will there be an E. Howard Hunt deep dive video?
Highly doubtful. It's hard to discern, other than the trial of E. Howard Hunt, which is of interest to me, with Liberty Magazine, possibly with Mark Lane. Might be an episode, Mark Lane versus, it's actually Liberty Magazine versus Hunt is I think the title of the case. So we may do that.
All right. And wow, this is the last super chat for now. It's YouTube censorship again, saying the 10 millionth patent was granted by Circo.im, not Jason Goodman. No, we didn't think Jason Goodman granted patents. I'm a 65-year-old guitar playing, pot smoking hippie with 3 pensions and 20 guitars. 3 pensions? Well done.
Is he in England or something? Or
I don't know. Jason Goodman's American. But
what does Circo.im mean?
I'm not
what is
sure.
.im?
It's probably a URL. There's so many of them now. IM is could be a country designation. I don't know. like you've seen Bitly before, right? bit.ly, those links.
Yeah.
Ironically, .ly is Libya.
Weird.
Yeah, so they found a way to make money out of it. They were selling the domain name, so the bit, because
weird. That's a weird. Yeah.
So trivia you probably didn't need to know, or
didn't need to know that. Poggy and Weehaw.
Thank you.
Wow.
Carl Burkhalter, if they can remove Moses Ezekiel's memorial from Arlington Cemetery, they can desecrate anything. Jewish Confederates are forbidden.
There's a lot of Jewish Confederate soldiers. I don't know if they took away all their grave markers.
I don't know. And
I mean, Judah P. Benjamin was the Secretary of the Treasury for the Confederacy, a Jewish guy.
20 pounds. Thank you very much, John S. 100,000 subscribers or bust, guys. JS from England.
Go England. Again, I mean, when I talk about the Brits, I'm not talking about the people who are British. I'm talking about the elites and the people who are running that police state over there. Not to criticize individual Brits who are good people. The police state that they have now is so deplorable as to it's just shocking how quickly it's happened.
Yeah, somebody wrote in talking about, they were commenting. I can't keep track of it all, but they were saying that you nailed it completely. They're writing from England that yes, things have gotten so far out of hand, and they're very, very frustrated.
Well, I mean, they're going after Lafarge. There was a revelation by the woman woke banker from the NatWest Bank, I think, who took away Lafarge's accounts and others when she came in. There's a story today in the Daily Mail about this woman who was brought in under climate change auspices to run the bank based on climate change. And one of her first things she did was cut off all loans and finances to fossil fuel companies and energy companies throughout England, and then later cut off the accounts of Lafarge personally. So this monstrosity of a woman has done so much damage to Britain. In one person can do so much damage. It really is breathtaking how such a small group of people can do so much damage to a democracy.
Oops, sorry, Ray J.
What did Farage or what?
And not Lafarge. I think you actually said Lafarge.
Oh, I'm sorry, Farage. I'm sorry.
Or maybe I said, I don't even know.
Is it Nigel Farage? Is that his name?
Nigel Farage, yeah.
Okay.
But the busting her balls, Madam Lafarge. All right. I've got some locals tips here. Nunya's business to you. Wow, send $100 tip, Mark. Jesus.
Party.
I'm looking down and it's like, oh wow. Eric and Mark, you guys rock. I am new, and this is the first time for me to subscribe to anything at 74.
Well, anything at 74? Not even Mad Magazine?
Hey, I'll take it. Thank you very,
Reader's
very
Digest, much. TV Guide, Playboy. Wow.
Yeah. Born and raised Dallas site. Can you private message or call me? Would love to give you a local Dallas story, JFK story. It's very unlikely.
What's the number? Tell me the number. What? You're in Dallas right now? Okay, go on. You don't say. Real? Whoa. Okay, good. All right, I'll get right back to you. I'm doing a show with Hunley. Yeah, no, I'm on there now. I gotta go. All right, I'm sorry. Hope that helps.
Anyway, this is kind of unlikely.
Mm.
Pat's Ale House said a cultural landscape in quotes. Thank you. Not sure that's context. Patsy SF. Eric, how do you feel about your decision to go full-time as a streamer? Thanks. So far, I'm surviving. Thank you. All these super chats, all the tips, all of this help make it possible. This is quite literally my job, and I am very thankful that I am able to survive off of it.
Whoa.
So I deeply appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work, but I do like the fact that all of the work is towards my creations with the channels, locals, supporting people like you.
What about the meetup, Hunley?
Well, yeah, we can talk about that a little bit. We've got a meetup coming up on Labor Day weekend, Sunday, in
National
Montgomery.
Speedway. Joey Chitwood and the funny cars.
Yep. Montgomery, Alabama.
That's where it's going to be, folks. Come hell or high water. We're going to Montgomery.
That's right. And I will post a link to the sign up page on Locals today. Sometime this evening after the show, whatever.
Yeah, we're going to be there all weekend. So I think the actual meetup is going to be Sunday night, but we'll be there Saturday and Friday.
Right. The goal is that by doing it on Sunday, on Labor Day weekend, people who are within a day's drive can drive on Saturday and leave on Monday and not lose any days on work, because
Monday's Labor Day. Right. Monday's Labor Day. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
While I'm doing this full time, I totally can relate to the corporate lifestyle and being stuck within, having to get back to work and not being able to take a bunch of time off for a side event. Just to let everybody know, the tickets are a discount for anyone on Locals who's a supporter.
Whoa.
And I mean, Locals is $5 a month, $50 a year if you wish to support us there. And it'll be $25 off a ticket for anyone who's on Locals. So, that's just a thank you to take care of, Locals peeps. And again, you can follow us for free on Locals and get a link ahead of time, learn about it. And it's also very useful because if you haven't noticed, a lot of your favorite creators are telling people on YouTube, oh, I just got kicked off of YouTube. Oh, I just got suspended for a week. Oh, this and that happened. If you're following us on Locals, again, you don't even have to pay, just follow. If something goes wrong, I can send an email to everyone who's following on Locals and say, hey, we can't do a show this week because YouTube, gave us a strike. They put a suspension on, whatever. Check it on Locals, or I'm going to do the show here on Locals. So it allows us in the darkest of times to reach out should something happen. We also put things up like I put up Mark's radio appearance there every week. I clip it out and clean it up, boost Mark's side because it's usually low. Put that on Locals for anybody who's following. It's free. I will also be putting up Mark's appearance with a German
appearance.
Today or tomorrow about Operation Paperclip on another show. Yeah,
this is an international story now.
Yep. So that's going to be on Locals too. So please consider, again, following. It's free. And we do have extra stuff for paid supporters. Big Saxaholics DCS Adventures. I have a personal story I would like to share with you about a man I met around 2013 that was living briefly in my apartment complex. It involves the killing of Judge John H. Wood. Can't make this up.
Well, you just did, because I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But you have a personal story you'd like to share with us about a man I met around 2013. It's kind of vague, around. That was living briefly in my apartment complex. Notice there's no location, Hunley. This is really suspect.
You notice, gentlemen, I'm a subscriber in Chicago. Well, thank you.
You notice, gentlemen, I'm a subscriber in Chicago. Okay. All right.
Why don't
you're going to have the convention there. You may want to rent your apartment out and make some money next summer for the Democratic convention. That's what I would do if I lived in Chicago.
Yeah, good idea.
And get a bulletproof vest. That would help too.
Why don't people talk about David Harold Bird?
Dry hole bird, brother.
Oh, yeah. We have talked about him.
Of course. We always talk about him.
Yeah, but he's come up in multiple episodes. So.
Yeah, D.H. Bird. It was like called Dry Hole Bird because he drilled so many dry wells. He became a laughingstock of Texas. Interestingly enough, he owned the Texas School Book Depository, as many of our followers know. We've discussed it many times. He took the window frame. I pointed this out to Hunley when we were in the School Book Depository building. He took the window frame out of the sniper's nest and put it in his living room as a freestanding trophy in his house after the assassination. Just saying, a little odd.
And that is definitely
really
odd.
close friend of LBJ.
Did Howard Hunt play a part in JFK assassination?
And what you talk about a part, I mean, he's a CIA operative. I mean, the whole agency kills Kennedy. I mean, you have an agency killing Kennedy or rogue elements of the agency, whatever you want to talk about it. I mean, if you look at some of the recently released documents, I mean, David Atlee Phillips, who was a mastermind of the assassination, obviously has a relationship with E. Howard Hunt. I don't think these people are obsessed with Hunt when the real guy is the Western station chief of Mexico City, a much bigger fish than E. Howard Hunt, named David Atlee Phillips. I mean, Hunt is a small fry, people, a small fry. David Atlee Phillips, a big fry. Look at Phillips, not Hunt.
And we'll probably be having an episode on David Atlee Phillips.
Oh, yes, yes. and his brother, a Hollywood screenwriter.
All right, let me go through a couple of rants here real quickly. Which one's first? Okay, each of you all-time favorite novelist.
Well, yeah, I want to say Philip Roth, but Fletcher Nebel, I'm going to say, wrote 7 Days in May, wrote a book called Trespass. He did write a type of thing, which I call political science fiction, which is fiction that has political aspects to it. And, you know, JFK famously said that 7 Days in May, he allowed them to shoot in the White House for the first time in American history. So that was the novel that JFK read in galley form from Fletcher Nebel, former journalist.
That's weird that you picked somebody that was an innovator on that, because the name that popped in my head invented the nonfiction novel, and that's Truman Capote.
I never really liked Truman Capote. I never really enjoyed him. Okay, but Fletcher Nebel, yeah, you're asking about a novelist. That's one of my favorites.
Pete Za, black man paddleboarding on Martha's Vineyard. 7 words never before together in one sentence.
Yeah, you said it, not me, brother. I mean, he was out there alone and possibly on something. And I'm just going to put it out there. If they do a toxicology report, I'd be curious to read it.
All right. Cheng Love, since you guys are interested in mass murders, Mark, please ask Viva to tell you about the guy in Nova Scotia who is believed to have killed 21 adults, a teenager, and an unborn kid. Worth your time.
Right. Thanks for giving us his name. That was very helpful.
Oh,
I know it's a national secret. I'm going to bother Viva now about mass murderers in Canada. He doesn't have enough annoyances from me.
Otto M wants to know, Eric, how does your wife feel about your decision to go full-time as a streamer?
Yeah, why don't you tell us more intimate details about your wife and her birthday today and why you're doing this on her birthday?
I have a simple answer to that. Mm-hmm. I'm alive. I'm standing here. Moving on.
Happy birthday, Leslie, by the way. Happy birthday.
No kidding. TJ Morgan sent a tip. Have you read 365 to Dallas by John Gold? Feels like another James Files-esque offering. Also, thoughts on Tosh Plumlee and his tall tales. Thanks.
I think they're tall tales. I think you said it. There's a lot of disinformation, people. Think about the source. Think about why they need disinformation. Think about, oh, by the way, you know who's retweeting my stuff on Twitter? Judith Berry Baker.
What?
I swear to God, right after the show last week, I saw that she was retweeting my stuff. It was very funny. I didn't say anything.
Was it her or handler?
No, it was her. It was her.
I didn't know she followed you on Twitter.
Either did I. But apparently you don't know who your followers are.
Wow. Okay.
Which is at Lord Buckley, if you want to follow me, by the way.
And I'm only Eric. But don't bug me when you get blocked by at Lord Buckley. Look at this. Jared Anthony coming in with 99.99.
Holy crap.
Mark's work opened my eyes. I appreciate you, sir. I'd love to talk to you. I worked for a company for 8 years who covered celebrity deaths. Broke several stories myself.
Okay. Well, send something to Hunley and he'll send it to me.
Yeah. Just go to erichunley.com/contact. There's a form there that will get to me an email. I may want to talk to you too. I do other shows. Just send what you have. we're always open to listening. Doug Archbold, sorry, trying to get you to write a script for JPK Sr.
Who's JPK?
I'm not sure.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy?
I don't know.
JPK. I don't know who that is. You want to get me to write a script? Well, you have to pay for it. Guild minimum. I think the guild minimum is $84K.
All right. Well, Dan Hack.
But I'm on strike, so I don't know if I can do it. I have to use a pseudonym like Tosh Plumley or something.
There you go. Dan Hack. Sorry you're going to be disappointed. I'd like to see Pokey and Gumby make another guest appearance.
Oh, they will. I'm on the road right now. Pokey and Gumby are in the zoo, but they will be taken out when I get back.
Right. Well, and while they may not make an appearance, more importantly, Oswald will make an appearance.
Yeah.
Because we are very close to the end, folks.
What? Well, that went pretty quickly. We started early.
Yeah, we did.
Like yourself, I'd love to have a deep dive on the whole Laurel Canyon scene. Absolutely nothing there made up by a writer. How about that for a deep dive?
All right.
Okay.
Elizabeth Borson, I love your statement on seeing a UFO. Fascinating. My daughter and I saw one in Palm Desert, California, about 30 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know what? Check out that show with Mark. And Rich Barris also saw a UFO on my other channel, Eric Hunley. You can see that. And he talked to behavioral panel people who questioned him about, authenticity. And he was very truthful.
I'll take sodium pentothal and acid and mushrooms, and I will submit myself to interrogation. Because
or you'll just take them.
I'm on them right now. I mean, the experience went on so long, and we were so calm. It wasn't a sighting; it was on the ground. We walked up to it and stood there, so it wasn't like seeing something in midair. It was landed, and it was in a field, and it happened, and that's the end of it. I mean. I was with two other people who were clean and sober, not clean and sober, but at least not high. Let me put it that way.
All right. Justin Moore, sometimes a person needs a story more than food to stay alive. The same could go for a country. Thanks for these stories of our national characters. Praise Johnny Appleseed. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
When chronologically did the tipping point occur for the assassination to move irrevocably forward? JFK agreeing in El Paso to return to DFW?
Well, I mean, for that particular event, yes. But don't forget, we had assassination attempts in Tampa, Miami, and Chicago. But for the Dallas event, that was the green light, as many people pointed out who have researched this. And that involved Connolly and Hunley getting them to come. What did I say? Connolly and Hunley? Connolly and LBJ, Connolly and LBJ getting JFK to come back to Dallas. That was at the El Cortez Hotel, Cortez Hotel in El Paso. I think it was June 5th, 1963. He didn't want to come back, and they just wore him down until he agreed to come back. And then that greenlit the Dallas operation. But clearly, we've seen the complications of the Chicago assassination attempt, the Tampa assassination attempt, the Miami attempt. So if he survived Dallas, it was going to be at the next stop on the train, which was Sunday at the barbecue on LBJ's ranch.
David Clory, you need Lana Del Rey to follow you. I agree.
God, I love Lana Del Rey. I can't wait to get to Alabama and hope she's still at that Waffle House, for Christ's sakes. I can't wait I'm going to invite her to the meetup. Joseph P. Kennedy Sr. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. And have you heard of Indrid Cold?
I have not. Is that a new cold capsule?
I don't know, but let me see. Nova Scotia Rampage, Gabriel Wortman. Not much of the federal law enforcement's narrative from the first day made any sense, particularly as it pertains to trafficking guns and goodness knows what else. This is about the Canadian. We really don't do that much with Canada, so
that's our sister channel up north, the
yes.
Canadian Untold Stories, which I would highly recommend.
All right, last super chat, folks. Orlando, Florida, 2013 to 2014. When I met and spoke with him, I'll send Eric the stories I have and what he told me about the shooting of John H. Wood.
Who was John H. Wood? Who was John H. Wood?
I don't know, but
okay.
An email will be coming your way, Mark.
No, me? You're going to drag me into this?
Of course.
Right. James Woods. James Woods was supposed to play Oppenheimer, by the way.
Yes, he was.
But he's too old. He aged out. And now we've got I think an Irishman, Cillian Murphy, playing Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I forgot the name of the show. Use any name, Oz Film
Company, Oz Film Company. Use any name. Oh, I see what he's saying. I got you. Thanks. That was kind of funny. Yeah, no, if it's real, reach out to Hunley, if you're real.
Wow, that's working the timing tonight. You completely froze and lost it. And I don't know what Mark's favorite mushrooms are. He might be taking them now as he has disappeared from the screen.
I have not got anything. I am right here.
All right. Well, you completely froze, and
I blame you. I have to.
Oh, of course, you blame me. You blame me anyway. Okay. On that note, folks, we'll be back for Freeform Friday.
Freeform Friday. Yeah, we'll see if there's special guests for that. Secret people who may show up or may not.
Or may not. But we'll definitely be there. And
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be home by then.
Excellent. And we will see you then.
Okay, Hunley.